Welcome to this night's live stream. I'm going to get started in a minute. I just need to let everybody on social media know that the stream is getting ready to start. Yeah, I'm breaking things down in tonight's topic, computer robots. I'm going to be telling some truth about some of these black males out here. Now, tonight's live stream, I'm going to be talking about these black males and how some of these black males out here, they're not ready for relationships with women, and some of them just ain't ready for women, period. Now, the reason why I say some of these black males just aren't ready for relationships with women is because as I was listening to Mad Black when he asked the question, why can't we have a discussion about passports? I realized that there was a real serious problem with a lot of these males. And after I watched his video and then I talked to one of my family members, I came to an epiphany on the subject. And I came to an epiphany on the subject because I realized one of the reasons why many of these males were emotional was because many of these males they just were not ready for any type of relationship. And I'll even go further on to say that I don't even believe some of these males are even ready for women. Now, the reason why I'm saying that is because when I listen to the way these guys talk about women, they really do not sound like a man at all. No, they really just to me sound like a lot of the 12-year-olds I went to junior high school with. And when you look at a 12-year-old, they really do not understand how relationships work because they were never really they're not really ready for this kind of stuff, and they're not ready because they're not in a place of mental maturity to be even able to understand what a relationship is. Now, many of these black males, they come from these single mother households, and because they come from single mother households, they really don't have that model for manhood. And that because they don't have that model for manhood, they don't have a lot of the male life skills or the male survival skills or even the male social skills. And instead of them understanding how to work in a relationship with a woman, what they do is they just get all of their ideas about relationships primarily from old places like many of your movies, many of these TV shows. Some of these dudes even get their ideas from romance novels, and others, lately, they've been getting their ideas from social media, and they're also getting their ideas from pornography. So, a lot of these guys, they don't have a man there to show them how to have a healthy relationship with a woman, and because they're getting ideas from media and social media, they really do not understand how things work. So that's why I say some of these guys, they're just not ready for relationships with women because they do not understand how to be a partner in a relationship. So when I look at a lot of these black males out here, there's a small group of them that definitely, as I see it, just aren't ready. Because when I listen to things like the whole reaction as related to when I first did the passport videos in 2019. And then when somebody asked me to even just talk about the subject, and some of these guys got triggered and in their feelings, and I listened to the extremely hostile responses, it really made me think that a lot of these guys, again, just aren't ready for a relationship. Because if you were to get that angry at me and get that triggered about the word passport, then I fear for whatever woman gets involved with this guy. Because if he's getting emotional and out of control with another man, then he's not ready to go out here and have a relationship with a woman. Because when you're in a relationship with a woman, if she disagrees with you, you're going to have to learn how to give and take. You're going to have to learn how to work with a partner. And these guys really show me that they're not really ready to work with a partner, because it's all about them. And that's what makes these guys not ready for women. Because a lot of these guys, again, they're coming from the mindset of an adolescent. And in an adolescent's mind, women are just there to go out here and just be there for them. And they're not human beings at all. No, in the 12-year-old's mind, he's supposed to be able to go out here, and she's supposed to drop the skid mark thong for him. And he's supposed to be able to put his carbon rod inside of that atomic waste reactor. And once he gets that atomic waste, he can sit there and brag to all of the guys about how he went out here and he was able to get the skid mark thong. But relationships don't work like that. And you can't explain that to many of these black males who basically see women as just somebody who's supposed to be there so that they can go out here and stick a carbon rod in her in order to get social currency with other guys. And that's not what a relationship is supposed to be about. No, that's an adolescent's whole idea of relationships. He thinks that a woman is just there for him so that he can go out here and have sex and brag about it. And that's, again, an adolescent mindset, because that's not how a grown man has a relationship. No, a grown man has a relationship in a completely different fashion. But sadly, we've got a lot of black males out here who are still looking to have relationships based on ideas that they got from junior high school. If they're older guys like me, and if they're younger guys, they're sitting there and watching a lot of these gender war videos, just like Mad Black talked about. He talked about how many of these guys are sitting there and watching all these gender war videos. They're watching all these passport videos, and they're getting really a lot of wrong ideas. And those ideas are making it where these males are not getting ready for a healthy relationship with a woman. In fact, all they're learning is dysfunction from day one. And they're learning dysfunction because even though we've got black males on social media, we don't have many black men teaching these males manhood that will allow them to understand what relationships are all about and a way to have a healthy relationship with a woman. No, we don't have that many guys out here. The only guys I really see are Ringo, Mad Black, and Dondra T. Whitfield. Those three guys are talking about having healthy relationships with women. And I'm seeing from other guys, they're not talking about how these guys just, a lot of them are out here on social media. And a lot of these guys, again, they're just not ready for any relationship with a woman. And in some cases, some of these guys, they just ain't even ready for women, period. And I say that they just ain't ready for women, period, because when I listen to the dysfunctional statements that some of these guys go out here and make, it shows me you ain't ready for no woman because you haven't even figured out who you are as a man. Because when I listen to some of these males, like when I was listening to Austin Holloman, I mean, this kid basically, he's not even understanding who he is as a man. And he's basically going out here traveling to different countries. And he's gotten himself into trouble in Brazil, and he's talking about going to get with women overseas when he hasn't even figured out who he is. Now, I remember being 23 years old myself, and I was even still trying to figure out what I wanted to do at 23. I mean, while I was a guy who was out here writing ever since I was 9 years old, I was out here looking at 23 for a job. I didn't really know if I wanted to do this full time. I was still trying to figure out who I was. And this is something many black males, they don't even figure out who they are yet. And then they're sitting up there talking about women. And again, when I listen to black males, you're not ready for no woman because you don't even know who you are as a man just yet. So you got a lot of dudes out here, they don't even know who they are as a man just yet, but they're sitting up here talking about how they want to get a woman. And I've seen this ever since I was 12 years old. And I remember being 12 years old and being bullied by guys because they were mad because I didn't have a girlfriend at 12 years old. And at 12 years old, I didn't even know who I was yet. But you got people looking to bully and coerce a person like me when I was 12 years old into thinking you need a girlfriend. Well, you don't need a girlfriend until you find out who you are just yet. Because one of the worst things you could ever do is get involved with someone. And when you don't know who you are, because when you get involved with someone, when you don't know who you are it's going to be like the blind leading the blind, because both of you are going to fall into a ditch because you don't know who you are. She doesn't know who she is. And you guys are just going through these motions that you've learned from institutions like Madison Avenue and Hollywood, who have told preteens that they need to go out here and be in relationships. They need to go out here and be involved with sexual activity. Again, this is stuff that was put in the mainstream media, and this is stuff that is peer pressured into kids at an early age. And because there are no healthy models for relationships, what happens is you've got black males going out here believing that they need to go out here and have a girlfriend in order to get the sex that will allow them to graduate into manhood. And again, when they get that whole frame of dysfunctional thinking, what happens is you get black males who are not ready for relationships with women, and they're not ready for any sort of healthy relationship because they are, again, getting a miseducation, and they're also having their growth being arrested as related to their development. So you've got a black male who is not ready for any sort of relationship because his only way of relating is based on sexualized ideas. And again, those sexualized ideas basically have it where he's seeing women from the waist down and not seeing women from the neck up. Because when you have a male who's out here and all he sees is a woman from the waist down and not the neck up, this is where he winds up being completely messed up, because that's when you have a man who is just completely dysfunctional because he's not ready for a relationship with a full person. No, he's not ready for a relationship with a full person because the only reason why he wants to get involved with women is because he wants to get social currency with other men in order to elevate himself and elevate his social status with other men. And that's not a reason to get involved with a woman, because you're not seeing her as a complete person. So you've got a lot of young black males who, again, learn this dysfunction at an early age. And these guys, again, they're not ready for a relationship with a woman. Some of them aren't even ready for women because they're still acting like little boys and they're not ready to take on the responsibilities of a man. And it basically makes these guys upset to hear this, to hear, oh, I'm not ready for a relationship, because you're sitting there complaining about bad black women, but you don't even know who you are as a man just yet. That's what I saw with Austin Holloman. I saw a young boy who didn't even know who he was as a man. And I saw a guy who, again, was just out here with girls. And as he was out here with girls, he wasn't out here thinking about what type of relationship he wanted to have. No, he had bought into a lot of rhetoric about black women. He had been parroting a lot of things that he had heard about black women online. And the reason why he was parroting all of those things that he heard about black women is because he never had any social interactions with a healthy man to sit down and show him a model for manhood. He possibly never had a man to sit down and show him an example of how a man treats a woman. And he possibly never had a man to show him how things work in a male-female dynamic. And because he never had anybody to show him this, he was following many of the guys here on social media, people like the late Kevin Samuels and many others who were making the gender war videos. And as they were making these gender war videos, he wound up buying into this rhetoric, not ever thinking to go and talk to a possible older brother, talk to some other men in his own community, sit down and talk to some people and learn how things work between men and women, or just go out here and do what I did when I was younger, start observing different things, because when you observe things, you can see how things are actually supposed to work, as opposed to people and peers trying to pressure you into how things work. Because when you have a young kid who doesn't, again, know how things work, and there's nobody there to talk about it, you really got a lot of dudes, again, not ready for a relationship, but they're sitting there, they want a girl for the wrong reasons. And I was a kid, I remember being 14, 15, 16, and I wanted a girlfriend just to get people off my back because I was being bullied and harassed. And that wasn't a healthy reason to have a relationship at all. I remember even praying to God to get a girlfriend. And I remember when I was 16 years old and he told me I wasn't ready for a relationship, and I wanted to disagree with God. But after a while, I realized that he was right, because I wasn't ready at 16 years old because I wanted a relationship with a girl for the wrong reasons, because trying to have a girlfriend to get people off your back is not a reason to get involved with anyone. Because again, I wanted to have a relationship with a woman in order to please other men, and that's not a healthy reason for a man to have a relationship at all. No, when you're not ready for a relationship, you're having relationships for other people, and you're having it to please others, and you're not having a relationship for the most important person, which is you and the woman you're involved with. Because men have relationships not for other people, but for themselves and the woman they're involved with. And they are having a relationship because they are two people who have two things in common. And because they have things in common, this is why they relate to each other. It is their things in common as related to their core values, their personality, their moral position. These are the internal things that allow people to connect with each other and grow closer to each other. And sadly, many of our black boys never learn about this because we have no fathers in the home. And then we have a lot of males out here who are not able to teach this because some of these males themselves, they're really shallow, and all they're thinking about is a woman just being there for being a atomic waste reactor that they can go out here and stick the carbon rod in for some nuclear fusion. And all they're thinking about is bending that big butt over, smacking it, flipping it, and rubbing it down. But they're not thinking about how they're going to have a relationship with that woman from the neck up. And that's one of the reasons why, again, these guys aren't ready for a relationship with a woman, because in order to have a healthy relationship with a woman, you have to get to know the person from the neck up and not the waist down. But again, when you have a black male who has been raised dysfunctionally, he's sitting there thinking, again, only about the woman and what he can get from the waist down in order to get the social currency that will allow him to elevate his social status with other men. And again, that's a dude who just isn't ready for a relationship with a woman. And I dare to say, some of these dudes, again, they're just not ready for women, period. Some of these dudes, they're not even ready for prime time. No, some of these dudes, they are still in kindergarten. They're still being spoon-fed by mama, and they're not ready to take on man-sized responsibilities. No, these guys, they're not ready for no man relationship. They're still out here thinking in a junior high and high school mindset. And again, that just shows the arrested development of the black male who sits there and talks about the bad black woman. But the problem is that he has not matured as a man. And as Dondra T. Whitfield has talked about in his book, Male versus Man, these males have not graduated into manhood. They are still in their adolescent stage, and they're sitting up there complaining about bad black women because they're still chasing after the girls in junior high and high school. And some of these guys, they weren't ready. The reason why they couldn't get that girl back in the day is because they were not in a place where they were mentally mature. No, they were still out here being kids. They were still out here acting. They still act out like a child because they're mad that, oh, the girl that rejected me is not wanting me, and they're still holding that to their heart. And again, that makes it where you're not ready for a man relationship with a woman because you're still holding on to a lot of adolescent hurt. And that adolescent hurt has a lot of these guys to the point where they just ain't ready for no woman, because when you get involved with a woman, women are looking to you to be a leader. Women are looking to you to set a direction for the relationship. Women are looking to you to be setting a course for the family as you come together to build. But this guy, all he's thinking about is getting into the skid mark thong. All he's thinking about is putting the carbon rod in there and getting the draws. And all he's thinking about is bragging to his homies how he went out here and smashed until she was completely demolished on the bed, shaking and sweaty. That's all he's thinking about. He's not thinking about, hey, after this, I got to form a connection with this woman. I want to get closer to this woman, and I want to be able to work with this woman towards building something together with her. I want to build a family. I want to build a household. I want to get with someone because I want to have a family with this woman. This is not what many of these small contingent of black males who aren't ready for women are thinking about. No, all they are still doing is thinking about how big the butt is, how big the breasts are, and they're thinking about how they can smash until the woman is completely demolished and crumpling on the bed. That's all these guys are really thinking about because, again, they are still like a bunch of horny teenagers. And this is where you get all of this angry talk about black women because they're angry that they couldn't go out here and get the clout from smashing one of these women when they were in high school. And they couldn't define their manhood through using this woman like a tool. And that again shows how these dudes just aren't ready for a relationship because they're still envious of the Chad or the Tyrone, not understanding that the Chad and the Tyrone, again, they may have gone out here and smashed the girl that they want, but they're not seeing how that woman was not ready for a relationship because she was still a girl, and how that dude was not really a man because he didn't his manhood was just dysfunctional, and the definition of his manhood was dysfunctional because he's a guy, he may have gotten the draws, but then he got a lot of grief when that woman wound up becoming a baby mama. But these guys, they are out here angry because they couldn't get the girl that they wanted. And some of them call themselves good brothers. And they're thinking that because they were so-called good boys who got good grades in school, went out here and got their college degree, they created a covert contract where they thought, oh, I'll try to show how much of a good man I am, that this is something that entitles me to go out here and have the best women. And again, that's a whole frame of dysfunctional thinking from these kinds of black males that show us that they're not ready for a relationship with any woman because you're thinking that you are supposed to be given a relationship because you were the so-called good guy who did well in school, who got the good job, and now you've got your good job and you're making your money, you're thinking, oh, I'm supposed to be able to go out here and get the woman that I want, but that's not how life works. And it just shows how dysfunctional this male is because, like his black female counterpart who sits there and says she wants a good man, both of you are just, again, not ready for relationships because both the male and the female who do this, they're sitting there with a sense of entitlement, believing they are owed a relationship when you're not owed a relationship because you are a guy who supposedly is doing well. No, you're not owed anything. No, people do not relate. They relate based on accomplishments. This is not a job interview, but you can't explain this to some of these black males. They're thinking, hey, I'm the good guy. I should be able to get whoever I want, but that's not how life works in this world. And people are not attracted to each other if they are just because somebody is accomplished something. No, you're not. So you're not gonna have a relationship just because you have accomplished something. Again, that is the worst frame of thinking many black males I've seen have these days. And some of these black males, they sit there and they're mad right now, sitting up here with their grill cooking, mad, sitting up there in their condo or their apartment, and they're mad because, oh, the so-called hot girls aren't paying them any attention. But what they don't understand is that you have absolutely nothing in common with that so-called hot girl, and your motives for getting involved with that so-called hot girl are based on your desperation to elevate your own social status by turning that woman into an attachment. And you basically want to objectify that woman. That's what that black male doesn't understand. And again, showing that he's just not ready for a relationship with a woman because he's not ready to be a man. And again, you have a dude, He's not ready to be a man, but he's sitting there complaining about women. And he's sitting there complaining about women because he doesn't understand how things work in relationships. And he doesn't understand how things work in a relationship because he doesn't understand his role as a man. And because he doesn't understand his role as a man, he's out here thinking only about the ideas that he's learned from his single mother. He's learned from Madison Avenue and Hollywood. He's thinking about the ideas he's learned about women based on things he's seen in movies and romance novels and even porn. And he's not understanding that's not a real relationship. That's not how humans relate to each other. And again, showing how he's not ready. But he'll sit there and complain about the black woman. And yes, there are some ratchet black women out there, and there are some rude and nasty black women out there. But he's basically, as I see it, not ready for a relationship with a woman. And some of these guys are so just crazy. I would say some of them wouldn't be ready for aren't even ready for women, period. Because a healthy man, again, understands when he's in a relationship with a woman, it's not just about him. He understands that he's in the middle of a partnership. And in that partnership, he has to learn how to work with a partner. Yes, women are supposed to be submissive, but you've got to give them a reason to submit. And women who are in a subordinate position as a helpmeet, they need to see you as a competent leader, because you're just not there to go out here and take her to the movies and hope that you'll be able to get her to drop the skid mark draws and put your carbon rod in the atomic waste reactor. No, you have to show that you're going to be leading this relationship, and you're going to be setting a course for things. That she has to see how you're leading, because again, respect comes with showing your leadership. You have to show her that you're respectable. You have to show that you are somebody that she can trust. And that is something that flies over the heads of many black males who, again, are only thinking about the relationship from the waist down. And that's why we have a lot of these guys out here. They're just not ready because they just have the wrong mindset that comes from an adolescent frame of thinking. And again, a guy with an adolescent frame of thinking just ain't ready for a relationship, whether he be 16, 19, 29, 39, even 59 years old. And sadly, what I've seen online with many black males is you got a lot of black males who, even though they've grown old, they haven't grown up, and they don't really see how the reason why they're having problems with women isn't just the woman. It's the fact that they, as men, are not ready to be men. And because they ain't ready to be men, that's why they are out here having problems, because the main reason why they're attracting so many female predators in their older age is because they're out here looking to go out here and find easy sex and find easy women to smash, and not looking for a woman to become a wife that they can go out here and build with. No, many of these males, they're still looking to go out here and find that easy girl, not understanding that that's not a woman you want to go out here and get involved with. No, they're still out here looking to try to find the easiest woman, and they're hoping that eventually they can go out here and be able to build with that woman. But you cannot change a 304 into a housewife, and that's where these men wind up falling apart right here in the black community, because they're looking to go out here and try to get the easy women, who are the so-called ratchet and raggedy women, and they're hoping to go out here and get her with a two-piece chicken dinner from the Arab red and white chicken place, or a shrimp fried rice and some chicken wings, or some other thing like a Jamaican beef patty and some cocoa bread or some White Castles. That's what these guys want to go out here and try to go out here and bribe when these low hanging fruit women, and they get disappointed that they can't have a relationship with that kind of woman instead of trying to elevate themselves as men. Again, they don't want to go out here and step up and step into the role of a man. No, they're still dealing with chicken heads that still have a childish mindset because they still want to go out here and get with the women that they wanted to get with as a teenager. And that's why these guys just ain't ready for no relationship with a woman, because they're not ready to take on man-sized responsibility. And because they're not ready to take on man-sized responsibility, we've got a lot of these males who are sitting here complaining and whining, oh, I can't find no decent women. I can't get with no decent women. Well, the reason why you can't get any women is because you're not trying to build yourself up as a man. You're not trying to work on things on yourself as a man. This is a problem many black males have, and they're just not ready for relationships, but they'll sit there and complain about bad black women when the problem is that, again, they stay in the pool of low-hanging fruit instead of stepping out of that pool and going to work on themselves. Because when you work on yourself, everything about you is going to change. And instead of you attracting all of these female predators and these low-hanging fruit women, what's going to happen is you're going to find people that you have things in common with. And in those circles, that's where you're going to find a woman who is possibly wife material. But in order to find a woman who's a wife, you have to be a man who's ready to be a husband. And that is the big problem with some of these black males out here. They don't want to step up to that level. No, a lot of them don't know how to step up to that level, one. And some of them just are afraid of stepping up to that level, because stepping up to that level means they have to take on man-sized responsibility. And taking on man-sized responsibility, this is what scares a lot of these guys, because when you are given that level of responsibility, a lot is going to be required of you, because the women on that level, they are going to be having standards for things, and they're expecting you to establish standards for the relationship. They're expecting you to establish standards for how things work between you. They're expecting you to set boundaries, and these guys don't want to take on those responsibilities. So that's why they're not ready for a relationship with a woman. So they continue to remain at the red and white chicken place, going out here and hollering at the women who are at the bottom, still creating covert contracts with those women to get into the skid mark thong, then sitting there and complaining about black women, saying, oh, they're so bad, when you're just keep going to the same place, hoping things will change. But that's called the definition of insanity, which is doing the exact same thing and expecting a different result. And again, a man who's not ready, he's going to go out here and try to do these things because he doesn't know. But a man who is ready for relationships with women, he understands that things are completely different. And when he's out here, he's already vetting women, but when he's talking to them, he's listening to them, and he's making eye contact and listening to what they're saying. Moreover, he is watching what they're doing. And as he's watching her actions, he's seeing how it relates to her character, and seeing if he wants to continue to pursue this relationship. It's not about, oh, these women are nicer to me, or this one has a big butt. I'm looking at the values. I'm looking at the character. I'm looking at the internal traits of these women and seeing if they are somebody who I have things in common with, And if there's a vibe there, that's what a man is looking for. But when you have a male, he's just thinking, oh, she got a big butt. Let me see if I can get her with offer of some shrimp fried rice or a two-piece chicken dinner, and see how easy things will be. But when they go out here again, you're selling yourself short because you're not stepping up yourself. And that's the big problem with many of these males. They, again, aren't ready for a relationship. They're not ready to even work with women. No, they just don't even know how relationships work. They're just out here. They want a woman, but they don't want a woman for the right reasons. And because they don't want a woman for the right reasons, this is why they're frustrated and angry, because your motives for this relationship, they are not good motives. And again, because these guys aren't honest with themselves, they're sitting up there complaining about the bad women when it's your bad intentions that's attracting many of these bad women to you, because you have been miseducated as related to how relationships work by Mama, Madison Avenue, Hollywood, and the porn industry. And you think relationships are just a gateway to sex, but there's more to a relationship with a woman than sex. No, there's a lot more to it than that. You have to have a real reason for wanting to be with this woman outside of her big butt, because once you get past the big butt and once you get past the atomic waste reactor, there's not really much there. And that's where these guys are on empty, because once you get to my age, eventually you realize, like Jason Black was talking about, that there's more to it than getting this woman in the bed, because eventually that gets boring after a while, and you want to get closer to a person. You want to get more connected to a person. You want to be able to have a relationship with a whole person. And that's something that many black males never really actualize, even though they get older, because many black males who are a part of this small group, again, they come into relationships for the wrong reasons. And some of these guys, again, they're not even ready for women, period. Because when I look at some of the behavior of some of these, what they call passport bros, if I was a father and I heard that my daughter was involved with one of these kind of guys, I'd have to tell her to avoid them. Because if you've got a guy who really cannot control himself, that's a recipe for domestic violence. Because when you have a male who just gets so triggered over a word like passport to the point where he's getting emotional and out of control, that's a red flag for me, because that's a red flag that shows me that if this man were to be in a situation alone with a woman, there's a possibility that this dude is going to participate in some domestic violence, because he's so angry and so seething with rage that he doesn't have any control over his emotions. Because if he can't control his emotions in a male social circle, and I've seen this when I was watching just this evening, Jason Black's live stream, and I've seen some of these so-called educated good brothers, and they couldn't even control their emotions as related to that whole subject. I fear for any woman who gets involved with this dude, because if she gets involved with this dude and she winds up disagreeing with this dude, there's a possibility that he may wind up putting hands on her. Because when you have a dude who is getting emotional with other men and getting to the point where he's getting superheated like that, that's a warning sign right there. And that's why I have to say, some of these guys, they ain't ready for no woman at all. Because if you can't control yourself as a man, then you're not ready for a relationship with a woman, because some of these women are going to crap test you and you're going to wind up losing it. And if you wind up losing it, there's a possibility that you may wind up going to prison. and having to deal with Bubba and Tiny, and you'll be going from being angry about black women to getting turned out by men for Little Debbie snack cakes, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pies, ramen noodles, packets of Crystal Light, packets of Taster's Choice. I mean, these guys, they talk about how I'm a good man. And I mean, this just shows me again, there's a problem with these dudes. And again, I look at these guys when they get emotional like that to the point where they get out of control. And if you can't control yourself, you ain't ready for no woman. You ain't ready for women at all. Because if you can't control yourself, then she's going to be manipulating you like a puppet. And she's going to be manipulating these dudes like a puppet because he can't control his feelings. And if he can't control his feelings, then she's going to, any woman he gets involved with is going to be steamrolling him because she's not going to respect him because she's going to see how weak he is. And when I look at these guys who are out here, especially some of these passport bros, these guys, again, they ain't ready for no relationship with a woman. And some of these guys, again, are so messed up in the head. Again, I say they ain't even ready for women, period. Because again, a woman is looking for a man to lead. And if that guy shows one iota of weakness, what will happen to that dude is she's going to see what she can get away with the crap test. And she's going to use the crap test to go out here and break the boundaries and be able to eventually get control over this dude. And again, that's a reason why I say some of these brothers who are these educated types, some of these so-called professional types who are passport bros, they ain't ready for no woman. And they need to go work on themselves. They need to go get themselves some help. And they just yeah, Aaron, the Taster's Choice is on the list now, but I've been wanting to add Taster's Choice. But these guys, sadly, they're not ready for no woman. They just sit there and parrot stuff that they hear from guys like the late Kevin Samuels and many other YouTubers, but they don't understand that if you're out here and you're getting angry like this, once you get in a relationship and you have to deal with crap tests, when you have to deal with women disagreeing with you, with women saying things that in some cases may upset you, you getting up angry about this, you're going to wind up, again, jamming yourself up and possibly wind up getting traded for those Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pies and Taster's Choice by Bubba, Tiny, Roscoe, and Big Dave. And this is why I say a lot of these square guys and these educated guys, a lot of them, they're angry at black women because they say, I'm the good man, and because I'm the good man, I deserve a relationship. No, you don't deserve a relationship. You got to go out here and just like you worked in school, you got to put in work on yourself, because if you don't put in work on yourself, you're going to wind up working yourself over because you get involved with the wrong woman. And if you get involved with the wrong woman, you're going to wind up becoming a man in crisis, just like I talk about in my book, The Man Crisis. So a lot of these guys, they ain't really thinking about this. All they're thinking about is, I want to be the cool brother. I want to be the fly guy. I want to have all the girls looking at me. I want to be able to go out here and be the cool dude. But being a cool dude isn't about the woman. It's about the man that you are, because cool dudes, they have confidence. Cool dudes are secure in themselves. Cool dudes don't care about what anybody is thinking about them. No, a cool dude is somebody who is secure in themselves as a man. And these are guys who are ready for a relationship because they are secure in their manhood, secure in their masculinity, secure in who they are as men. But a dude who isn't ready for manhood, he's sitting up here complaining about bad black women. And then what he wants to do is talk about getting himself a gimmick like a passport, hoping that this will get him a fly girl from overseas, since all the girls here see that he's lame. But the reason why they see him as lame is because, again, he's not ready for relationships with women because he has not matured as a man. And he's not ready because he's still, even though he's accomplished a lot in school, he may even have gotten big promotions on the job. Yes, he's put in work as related to academics and professionalism, but he hasn't put in work on himself. He hasn't put in work on his interpersonal skills. He hasn't put in work on his social skills. He hasn't even grown spiritually to the point where he even has a spirit of discernment, which is something that the Most High gives people so that they can go out here and be able to read and analyze people and feel the spiritual energy and the vibe. Again, these guys, they're still out here eating baby food, and they're not ready for solid food. They're not ready for a woman because, again, you're not ready to be a man. You're ready. You just want the women because you want to elevate your social status. You want to be able to go out here and get with women in order to impress them. And Mr. Chop Shop made a good point. He talked about how Jason Black talked about the guy with the so-called Rolls Royce. Again, a simp with an attachment looking to get attention. And he's not really building anything. He's still living like a teenager at 60 years old and not living like a man ready to say, hey, well, I'm a man. I'm looking for a wife. I'm looking to go out here and build with a woman. I'm looking to go out here and build a family. I'm looking to go out here and build a home. He's not looking to build those type of things. No, he just wants to go out here, have some hot girls on his arm, and he wants to go out here and be able to smash until she's demolished. And he's no different than Pookie and Ray Ray, because Pookie and Ray Ray, they just go out here and look to smash and demolish women and then live off those women because, again, these are males who are still boys, but they're not ready to go out here and take the responsibilities of men. And again, when you have a male who is not ready for relationships with women, he still sees them in the way his single mother sees them, because his single mom, when she goes out here, she's looking for a man to just be in her life. She's not looking for a husband. She's looking for some dude who is just out here. She's looking for a dude who is just going to be out here and just there. And she's not really understanding how to build with a man. She wants to get control in some cases because she's been hurt. And because she's been hurt, she wants to get that control over that man and treat him like a child. And when I look at a lot of these men in this small contingent of black males who are not ready for relationships, they're looking to be a child with a woman because they still have mommy issues. And even though he's a good brother on paper, his character is less than sterling because he's still in a state of arrested development. He's still looking to be a child. He's still looking to be up under a woman. And that's something that's frustrating to a mature woman, because a mature woman is looking for him to be a man and looking for him to start talking about other things than, oh, the homies are out here and they want to go someplace. They're like, hey, what are your plans for later on? Are you trying to start a business? Are you do you want to build something? Are you thinking of how many kids do you want to have? What do you want to do with your life? Because yes, you're a brother who has done well as related to economics, but you're not doing well as related to character. And that's something that shows how some black males, even though they are accomplished, still are not ready for relationship with women because they're still out here talking about all types of foolishness. And when you try to have a conversation with them about something serious, these guys can't sit down and talk about anything serious because they're still stuck in that state of arrested development, and they're still acting like they're either 12 to 16 years old, and they're not ready to do man work. And again, man work means when you get in with a woman, you're talking about other more important things. You're looking to find out, again, things about her values and her character. You're looking to find out things about what type of woman she's going to be. Because when you get with this woman, you understand this is going to be the mother of your children. And as the mother of your children, she's going to be teaching your children values. So this is what you're looking for. You're looking for values. You're looking for character. You're looking for integrity. And a man of integrity, he's going to be looking for a woman who has these traits. Whereas a male, all he's thinking about is, oh, they nice to me. They paying me attention. Well, people will pay attention to any guy who doesn't know anything, because a guy who doesn't know anything, they know they can use him as a tool and take advantage of him. And he's just so caught up in the attention. And that, again, shows why this black male is not ready for a relationship with a woman. Because when I listen to guys like the high value guys and the passport bros and all the guys with the gimmicks, they show me they're not ready for relationships with women because they're still out here looking for things as related to the external and not looking for anything as related to the internal. And that's because they haven't done any work on their own internal character traits. And because they haven't put in any work on their internal character traits, they're showing me that they're not thinking about their core values. They're not thinking about where they want to go in life. It's just, oh, she got a big butt. She's light skinned. She's pretty. It's like, no, there's more to relationships than that. No, there's a lot more to it. But these guys don't want to go out here and dig deeper. No, they want to talk about bad black women and then talk about getting a passport and going overseas, where all they're going to do is wind up attracting the same types of women, but in a different color, because they have not worked on the content of their character. And all they are is caught up in the color of a woman's skin and clout chasing over race and skin tone, because these guys, again, are not ready for a relationship with a woman from the neck up, because all they're thinking about is how she look from the waist down. And because all he's thinking about is the woman from the waist down, he's not thinking about who she is as a person. It's just like I talked about in last week's live stream, where I talked about the guys with the who are have a fetish for goth women. You have the same type of black males who, in the passport bros, they have the same fetish for foreign women. And again, it's these guys who just dehumanize women, and then they wonder why they can't get a relationship. And again, they complain about the women, but the problem is them as men. And we see this with Austin Holloman, how he got ran out of Brazil because he was the one who was out here buying into these narratives and talked about how bad the black women are, and then went overseas and participated in dysfunctional behavior. And as he participated in that dysfunctional behavior, what happened was we started to see that the problem wasn't the women in many cases. The problem was him as a man. And as a man, he showed that he was not ready for a relationship with any woman just yet. And as I see it, he really isn't ready for women at all. Hey, G-Boo 786, glad to see you here. I do a live stream with G-Boo 786 every Thursday. And you can subscribe to his channel by clicking the link in the chat, and that will enable you to be known when I do a show with G-Boo 2786. So I'm glad that he's here, but I wanted to, again, just keep talking about this because I see so many black males, and again, they act like they're 12 and 13 years old, talking about, oh, this woman is nicer than this one. This is juvenile, junior high school behavior. And that's what I'm seeing as related to some of these black males. And we got to get out of this immature frame of thinking, because this immature behavior, it reflects badly on us as men, and it shows that we are not ready to go out here and lead. We are not looking to be ahead. No, we're just looking to be just children. And again, that's what the white supremacist wants to see, are these immature black males, because he does not like to see black men standing up and being men. So when he sees these guys out here being childish, this is exactly what they want to see. Guys who are still mentally children, who have grown old but haven't grown up, and sitting here not ready for a woman, not ready to work with, lead a woman, not ready to build with a woman. No, they're still out here, still being teenagers, not ready to do the work of a man. And again, some of these guys are so bad, I say that they're not even ready for women, because I remember when we were doing the live stream with I was doing a live stream with G Boot on Thursday. I had one of these passport guys who was stalking me in that live stream. And that really showed me that this dude, he's another type of these dysfunctional males who is not ready for women, because a grown man who cannot go out here and respect boundaries, that's a male that is somebody who, again, isn't ready for women. Because if you'll stalk a man online for disagreeing with you, then you're going to be the kind of guy who goes out here and stalks a woman who just is having issues with you. And again, this is extremely antisocial behavior. And this is some of the types of behavior that shows me, again, this guy just ain't ready for women, period. And you have a lot of dudes out here who are part of the passport bros and the gender war. These guys, they ain't ready for women because they don't know how to navigate through their emotions. They have very little discipline. They have very little self-control. And as Jason Black said in his live stream this evening, some of these guys can't get on code. And again, not ready for relationships with women, because if you can't get on code, then you got problems. And you can't really, if you have a problem, because you need to be on code, and you have to be on code and on point when you're in a relationship with a woman, because she's looking for you to be that man who's going to lead. But if you can't control yourself and you're out here doing antisocial behavior, like stalking people online for just saying one word like passports, these guys, this again shows you're not ready for women, because you're just not ready for manhood just yet. And that's the big problem with a lot of black males out here. They ain't ready for no relationships with women. And some of these dudes, they're just so wild and out of control. They're not even ready for women, period. And they're not ready for women because, again, if your reaction to women is to get emotional every time the subject is brought up, you ain't ready for no woman, and you're not ready for any relationship with a woman, because healthy men who are in control of themselves, they don't get emotional about women. They don't take things personal about women. No, when they hear a subject, they just become indifferent to the subject, because a healthy man, when he's ready for a relationship with women, he understands he needs to be in control of himself as a man, because he's not going to get heated about these kind of subjects. He's just going to sit there and calmly listen to the talking points. And if the talking points are ridiculous, like those presented by a Crystalline Karazin or a Cynthia G, he's just going to blow those subjects off. And he's going to blow them off because he knows that this person cannot go out here and have a reasonable discussion. because if a woman is going to come to him with logical talking points, he'll address them. But if you're going to get emotional, he knows he's not going to get anywhere with that woman because she's emotional. And when she's emotional, all she's going to do is talk you into circles, because that's what women do. They talk you into circles when they argue, and it's a waste of time going back and forth with them. And again, a man who is healthy and ready for relationships, he understands that and when it gets to that situation, you've got to shut it down, because all you're going to do is get yourself upset. But when you have a male and he gets with women, what he's going to do is, once he gets in that situation, he may possibly wind up putting hands on this woman, not understanding the only way to deal with that situation is to leave the room and give yourself some space, because you're not going to get anywhere with somebody who's going into a circular argument. All you're going to do is make yourself upset, but you can't really talk to many of these males who aren't ready for relationships, because a lot of these guys, they act just like females. And because they act just like females, it's just a nightmare dealing with this dude, because he's in his feelings. He's all emotional. He's out of control. He's mad about women, but he doesn't understand that it's his emotional and out of control behavior that shows that he's not ready for a relationship with a woman just yet. Because this dude, what as I see it with a lot of these dudes, like the passport bros and many of these guys in the gender war, what they need to do is stop talking about women and start working on themselves as men. And this is something I read in Dr. Robert Glover's No More Mr. Nice Guy book, and I've also read it about many other men's books and articles. You need to start putting yourself first, start putting in some work on yourself, because you can't go out here and complain about women if you're not ready to be a man. You have to get yourself together as a man. And I don't mean with a job about jobs, because a lot of these guys, they got good jobs, they got good educations, but the problem is they haven't worked on themselves. And I mean working on improving yourself as related to your values and your character, because it's your values and your character that are leading to you attracting these toxic women, because you're toxic yourself. And that's something many black males don't want to talk about, because they don't want to go through that pain and say, hey, I'm not ready for no woman, because I'm not there myself as a man, because they don't want to go out here and look at themselves and take that critical look. And that was something I had to do with myself as far back as 16 years old, when the Most High said I wasn't ready for a relationship. And when I got into my 30s, I started to say, yeah, God was absolutely right back then, because I was looking to get involved with a girl for the wrong reasons, and I wasn't considering her as a person. And that's something many guys, they wouldn't really say about themselves, because when I listen to a lot of guys, it's always about the bad black woman, but they never really want to take an assessment of themselves and say, hey, I'm here, I'm making mistakes here, I'm not really where I need to be, I'm not ready for this just yet, I need to put in some work on myself. And when I was 16 years old, that was the first thing I started to do, and I started working on myself. And I noticed a result when I was in my early to mid 20s. I stopped attracting the toxic women, and I started to attract the quality women. But I always wanted to make sure I was financially secure, because again, a man needs to lead if he wants to have relationships, because women want to see what direction you're going in. They want to see where you're going, what you're doing with your life. It's not about just having a job and making money. You have to be able to set a course for the family. And in order to set a course for the family, you have to have a strong moral position. And that strong moral position is what you need in order to lead a family. And these are things as related to your values and character you've got to go work on before you get ready for a relationship with women. And again, a lot of guys don't work on this because they buy into the Madison Avenue and Hollywood idea for relationships. And they're just thinking about getting the prettiest girl and the flyest girl, not thinking about finding the right woman for them. And that's because they don't have a strong foundation in family. And that sadly happened over the last 60 years as the feminist movement broke the American family. We had people who were not understanding how relationships work because there was no family to model this for them. Because one of the reasons why people were able to have healthy relationships before the feminist movement is because people actively saw healthy families. And when they saw a mother and a father loving each other, they knew who to look for and what values to look for in a partner. But when you grow up in dysfunction, you learn dysfunction as normal. And when you learn dysfunction as normal, that's why you have black males who are not ready for relationships with women, because some of these guys, they have mommy issues, and some of these guys don't understand that the relationship you had with mama is not the one you have with your wife. That was something I learned when I was 13 years old, but a lot of guys don't get that lesson, and they don't get the lesson. Hey, your woman don't want you to be like, is not your mama, and her job isn't to take care of you like mama. No, she's looking for you to lead. And this is where a lot of these black males have hard times as related to relationships with women. You're still looking for the woman to be mama, and they're still looking to be taken care of by mama, but that's not how it works. No, in an interdependent relationship, she's looking for you to lead, and she's looking to you to go out here and again set that direction. But if you are out here just thinking about smashing until she's demolished and just chasing her, loping to smash until she's demolished, then all you're going to do is break down a woman, and that woman is never going to be able to have a relationship with you because you're just going to destroy this woman. And that's why, again, some of these guys just ain't ready for a relationship with a woman because they don't see the woman as a person. They just see her as a piece of social currency. And some of them see her as a piece of, I won't say the word, but the whole thing is that, again, they don't see her as a human being, and they don't see her as relating from the neck up. And they complain, oh, these women are rude and nasty. And again, why are you going over to these kinds of women? Because you haven't worked on yourself as a man. And since you have not worked on yourself as a man to find your own moral values and character, you're still sitting here complaining about the bad women instead of working on your qualities that show how you have strong qualities of character. And this is something many black males, again, it doesn't register with them. Because when I was watching Jason Black's show, and I was also watching other videos, I see these guys, and again, it looks like they haven't gone out here and come to that level of mental maturity. They're sitting there complaining about, oh, these black women so bad. But the problem is them. And when you try to tell them it's them, they don't want to process that whole idea that, hey, I'm the common denominator as related to my issues with women, and I'm the one who is making these women gravitate towards me because I'm radiating this beta energy, I'm radiating this dysfunctional energy, and I'm attracting these dysfunctional women to me. They're not really understanding that, hey, maybe I'm not ready for a relationship just yet. Maybe I'm rushing into things because I want to please other people. And maybe I need to go out here and put in some work on myself. And once I've finished working on myself, maybe I can now find someone who is actually interested in me outside of my job and the money I make, or the fact that I may possibly be some sort of sexual fetish. This is where you start working on the substance of yourself. And some of these black males, they don't want to go out here and do this work, but they'll sit there online complaining about women. And as they're sitting there complaining about women, they show us that they're not ready for relationships with women. And some of these guys, they just are just so crazy in their behavior. They're showing me they're just not ready for women, period. Because when your behavior, again, is this erratic and out of control, that you're violating boundaries, that you're stalking men on social media, this shows me you're not ready for women because you're just in a place where you have either mental health issues, self-esteem issues, or just serious issues, because a healthy man does not stalk another man because he talks about a certain subject. Because when I talk about comic books or science fiction or celebrities, you don't hear from these individuals. But if I say the word passport, it triggers these individuals. And again, showing me these guys ain't ready for women, because men can disagree with another man and they can go out here and say, okay, that's his opinion. I'm going to put a period at the end of it. He has a right to his opinion. I'm not going to get upset because he disagrees with me, because a man understands that you're going to listen, you're going to hear different thoughts and viewpoints. And while you may disagree with those viewpoints, you're going to be able to accept, hey, that's that guy's opinion, so I'm going to put a period at the end of it and move on. But when you're dealing with a male who is not ready for women at all, he's like a 3-year-old who hears that his favorite comic book or TV character is being disparaged. And when they hear that their favorite character is being disparaged, that's what triggers these individuals. And that's what triggers them and makes them get so enraged. And again, that's a sign that this guy ain't ready for a woman, because a man who's not ready for women at all, they get out of control like this. And heaven help any woman who gets involved with this guy in a relationship, because this guy, if he gets like this with a guy online who is thousands of miles away, possibly, then if you're in an intimate relationship with this guy, there's chances are this guy's going to participate in some domestic violence. And again, I don't want to say that about black males. I don't like saying that about them. But when I listen to some of these guys, like these gender war guys and these passport guys, they really have serious issues. And those issues have been amplified as they've been sitting inside of these echo chambers. And as they've been sitting inside of these echo chambers, they have been showing me that they, again, are not ready for women, and in some cases, not ready for women at all. Others are not ready for relationships. And that's really sad when you're thinking about men who are in their 20s, 30s, and even their 40s, 50s, and 60s, how they are just still holding on to hurts, and how those hurts, as related to past relationships, are affecting their mental health. And that's one of the things that really scares me about some of these guys. I mean, if these guys are just this emotional over women online, imagine how out of control they would be in a relationship with a real woman. That is the scariest part as related to things. And I that's one of the things that, again, makes me really think about how dangerous these kind of guys are. And again, some of these guys, they're single, and maybe God is keeping them single in order to protect them from themselves. Because when you have a guy who can't control himself, when you have a guy who gets in his feelings, when you have a guy who's out here and he's just participating in dysfunctional behavior, maybe it's good that they stay single, because there's still a lot of work they need to do before they can bring a partner into a relationship. So when a man is out here, he understands that, okay, if I want to get involved with someone, it's not to sate some peers, it's not to be cool. No, you're involved with a woman because both of you have similar interests, both of you have things in common, both of you have similar goals that you want to accomplish, both of you have a vibe, both of you have a connection with each other. There's a lot more to things than what's going on as related to what we see in many of these gender war videos and many of these passport videos. And when I look at those videos, I just see sometimes a lot of people who ain't ready for no relationship at all. and they ain't ready because they just aren't there mentally, spiritually, or emotionally. And because they ain't there mentally, spiritually, or emotionally, many of these folks, they just need to go out here and take some time to themselves, put in a little work on themselves, and get themselves together, because you have to get yourself together um, to get to work things out. So Luciano is saying that he felt a little bit sick today. And I will check that comment later under the Mall of America video because I still got a lot of work to do. And he said that a lot of young men today are not relationship material, and there are too many B-made guys. Again, they're not. I agree with you. They're not ready to take on that leadership role. And again, he's supposed to be, like Luciano saying, establish that foundation, and he's supposed to be working with his partner. But a lot of these guys, they don't want to do that work. All they want to do is just say, "I'm getting some panties, and I want to brag to my friends." And he sees the woman as an object, and they see the woman as somebody just there to say, hey, you're here to make me look cool in front of the other guys. But that's not how guys who really care about the woman in their life are. They don't, when they go out here and they're having a sexual relationship, it's not about the other guys, and nobody knows what's going on between the two of you except you and that woman. So that's something many black males aren't getting, because they, again, thank you for the super chat, Luciano. Glad that you can do that. And again, if you guys want to donate to the super chat, you can do so as well. And if you want to donate to the Cash App, that would also be greatly appreciated. So I look at these guys out here, again, not ready for no woman, not ready for no relationship. And the more they talk, the more they show me they ain't ready. And they need to go out here and try to put in some work. And other guys, they just need to go out here and get some mental health counseling. And others just need to go read the Bible. So these guys there's a lot that they need to do. And this is something black males need to understand. They need to understand and just go out here and do that work. They need to understand that if you're not doing the work, you're just out here. You're no different than Pookie and Ray Ray that you complain about. And when I look at a lot of these guys, they want to do the exact same things that Pookie and Ray Ray do. And they're just mad that Pookie and Ray Ray got to smash before they could. And because they see this woman in a pile of ruins, either emotionally after having a failed relationship with this guy or with a baby, they're mad that he got to smash until he demolished and destroyed this woman. And they're mad that they weren't the first to go out here and get this woman. That's what they're really mad about, these so-called squares and educated lame guys. A lot of them, they are mad about it. Luciano asked the question. The point would be, again, as related to a relationship, is to establish a foundation for each other and not use each other. I have to agree with you there on that. The point is to work with a partner and build with a partner. It is not to go out here and just use somebody. But we have a lot of black males, when they're not ready for relationships, they think of using their partners as tools. And again, shows me that they're not ready. And a lot of guys ain't ready because they never had men to show them a model of manhood. They never had a man to sit down and talk to them objectively. I mean, the few guys I do see that talk about things objectively are like Mad Voodoo Man, Mad Black, even Mr. Superboy. They talk about things in a healthy fashion, but and Jason Black also talks about it objectively. But I don't really see a lot of guys out here really talking about how some of these guys ain't ready, because when I look at a lot of these guys, they remind me of myself when I was about 16 years old and that desperate, and they're sitting there angry about things, but they're just showing me they're not at that place of mental maturity, because they're still complaining about women at 20, 30, 40, even 50 and 60 years old, because they're not ready for women, because they still have not matured as men. Now, Toro Boy with Short Pants has a great comment. He says, relationships are real work. People think they can get the best partner for social currency while not realizing sacrifices and compromises needed to nurture the relationship. I have to agree with that. Yeah, you're going to have to put in work in a relationship. And these guys don't want to put in the work. They think everything is supposed to go one way when relationships are two-way streets. And in a two-way street, you may have to go out here and make compromises with your partner. You may have to give and take. You may have to go out here and have trade-offs. It's a lot of work. But these guys, they want to go out here and get easy. And then when they have hard times, that's when these guys struggle. That's when these guys start talking about the woman is a B, the woman is an H. And it's like, no, a lot of cases, it's just a part of it is you, because you never want to take accountability for your mistakes. You want to never take accountability for your behavior. You never want to take ownership for your half of things not working. And that's a problem that many of these black males have because they're not ready for a relationship with a woman. And the extremely immature ones, they're not ready for women at all. No, a lot of them, they're just sitting there listening to gender war videos, hearing back and forth from broken and bitter people, not understanding that a lot of them are broken and bitter. And the things that they're saying are just them venting their anger. And as they're sitting in that echo chamber, it's amplifying. And as it's amplifying, it's leading to these men's mental health deteriorating. And that's another sad component about these guys that show that they're not ready for relationships because they're not looking at all of the aspects objectively. And they're also not looking at their mental health. They're just caught up in their feelings about women. And as they're caught up in their feelings about women, they are just seething with all of this anger about things failing, not understanding they failed for a reason. And you have to learn why that they failed so that you can go on to finally have that healthy relationship. But instead of them learning where they went wrong, they just sit there in their bitterness, hoping to go out here and find an easy result like a passport or playing high value man, not understanding these are all gimmicks that show a guy isn't ready for a relationship with a woman or women at all because they just aren't ready for relationships. And because they're not ready, they're hoping to get an easy fix through a gimmick and hoping that this gimmick will get them over. But the whole thing is there's nothing easy about relationships. Relationships are hard work. You're going to have to go out here and put in a grind like you do at a job, because in order to have a relationship, you have to work with a person just like you work at a job with other people. And you're going to have to work with other family members, like as related to those relationships. You're going to have to put in work out here. And these guys, they're not ready for that work because mom and dad never showed them that you're going to have to go out here and get on that grind. You're going to have to go out here and put in that work. And these guys, they're not even ready for no work. They're just, oh, I want it to be like when I go out here and got the A in high school and junior high school. Well, that's not how it works as related to relationships with women and women at all. No, you're going to have to put in some work as related to women. And again, we got a lot of black males who ain't ready for no relationship, but they want a girlfriend. They want a girl, but they want a girl for the wrong reasons. And these guys really need to take a moment away from women, put in some work on themselves, because putting in that work on themselves may lead to them going out here and possibly being ready for a relationship with a woman. Because when you put yourself together as a man, you will wind up possibly on the road to being ready for a relationship with a woman. So it's getting real late, so I'm going to get ready to wrap up tonight's stream. And I want to thank everybody for coming out to tonight's stream. And before you guys, before I go, I want everybody to drop a pre-order on the next John Haynes book, which is Godbreaker. and Godbreaker is coming out on March 31st. So I'm asking everybody to head over and pick up the first 2023 SJS Direct book, Godbreaker. And if you want to learn more how to break out of the paradigm and learn how to start working on yourself, a lot of black males can go out here and pick up my book, Stop Simping: Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance, and my other men's issues books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. I have a lot of books that can help men. I've written books like Stop Simping: Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance, Manginas, The Misadventures of Captain Save-'em, and The Man Crisis. And I've even written a book for women called The Women Crisis, and a book why 70% of black women are single. You can find all those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them on other online booksellers like Smashwords, the iBookstore, and Google Play. And if you want to help me continue to do more live streams, you can donate to the Cash App. That would be greatly appreciated. Or you can donate to the Patreon, which has been struggling as of late due to blowback from guys like the Passport Bros. So you can donate to the Patreon as well. That helps me stay on the air. And I did check your comment, Luciano. I checked it as what you were talking about, but I do agree with what you were saying, that you have to establish that foundation with each other, but it's got to be based on these things. But let me see this other comment you were talking about as related to the Mall of America, because that's a video that's going to be coming on tomorrow at 8, I believe. Let me see. I don't see any comment here. It's just there's. I don't see it. Yeah, I don't see it. That's the Shadow Bandit. I'm sorry, but you can put it in the chat here. Maybe I can take a look at it. Yeah, they didn't allow it to go through, but you can send it to me in an email, and maybe I can take a look at it. You can send it to me on Facebook. Well, I do agree with that point. Yeah, we do waste a lot of money in government and trivial causes, but that's the American way. That's the American way, sadly. But I'll be going into that on the video when it premieres tomorrow. I'm also going to be, I have a lot of videos coming up. There'll be more historical men and women in crisis videos. There will be more videos on other topics. I have one that I want to do about children's cartoons that I want to do. I talked about that because it's based on appointments Superboy made, but there's going to be a lot more other content coming up. And again, I'm asking everybody to please pick up a book from SJS Direct on Amazon, because that really helps the channel as well. So again, I'm going to get ready to wrap up tonight's show. I want to thank everybody for coming out to tonight's show, and I hope you'll be there for next week's show. It's almost 1 o'clock, and I gotta get back to work on editing some books. So I want to thank everybody for coming out to tonight's show, and I hope you'll be there for next week's show. Everybody have a good evening, and everybody have a good night.